You may begin and take the floor when you're ready.
Awesome. Okay, so I got 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm setting my timer
Okay. Thank you.
and go. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do just real quick. So when I'm in a format like this, I leave up my panel, the chat panel it's on the right side of my screen. It does not bother me if you're throwing questions up there or anything else as we're going midstream. This is going to help us all. It also makes me aware of if anything's not hitting, we can address it in the group, or we can go back to it or whatever. Okay. Also, if you have like a pen and paper or pencil and paper, something, kind of keep track of what we're going through, because each of us are going to be hitting kind of different sides of it. And by the time we get to the third one, you might not have any idea which end is like up or down or anything. So it's going to make our breakout groups way more coherent. Um, just save yourself the grief and just start doing that now. All right, everyone with me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And you can even put yes in the side. Just so I know you can all hear me. All right. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This is rapid fire. This is 15 minutes. These are some concerns to bring up. So write them down as we go, because you will have to go back into this, or we can address it further. Okay. So I've been doing this teaching now for like 20 years. Um, but I jumped in feet first into professoring just before the pandemic, which is like the best time, right? Because I was a headmaster and I was a dean, and I got my master's and my PhD and all that kind of. And I'm like, I'm just gonna do this full time and stop teaching one class here and there, and knowing I should be doing this. And then we got the pandemic, so then I literally got all my time doing this at 3 different institutions where I also teach. So, uh, yeah, there we go. But it has been great to have to think through this the entire time. So here's where we begin. The first key concept that I bring to the floor when I'm thinking about a course and what I do as a professor is reciprocity. I'm putting it there. Okay, everyone see it in the chat? Okay, reciprocity. And so reciprocity, if you were to look it up, there's both economic theories for it and other kinds of theories of reciprocity. I'm thinking of it as normally a kind of balanced exchange, right? So when you step into the classroom, there's this sort of understanding, right? Even in our school has these statements of what we believe and what we do, and all that kind of stuff about the educational process and everything. Our departments have goals. You all have goals for your classes. We lay them out, right? And so there's this balanced understanding. So the concept of reciprocity is that you are doing something and they are doing something. And so as part of you, it's part of a deal, right? You're doing things, they're doing things, and so on, right? And so there's a couple different kinds of concepts here. There's generalized reciprocity, which is you're doing something and you expect nothing, right? You're just doing it to do it, or to be helpful, or to give a gift, or whatever. Then there's a reciprocity that's more balanced, which is you have something that you're giving, and they have something that they are supposed to be doing in response to what you're doing, right? For instance, you're teaching a course on a particular thing, and the course of study is to either develop a mastery or a skill or some kind of writing abilities or whatever it is, right? That's the agreement. You're in there to get the best out of them for that thing. And they, in return, do the best they can working with the tools that you're giving them and what you're asking them to do, right? Okay. So that's the reciprocity. That's balanced. And then there's negative, which is you don't put anything but ask all kinds of stuff of them, right? That can be a very frustrating situation. They don't have the skills already, and and I walk in, okay, everyone's doing a 15-page Chicago-style Turabian paper, on Aristotle's idea of arete. All right, go. Right? And they're like, what? I've never even taken a philosophy course. I thought this was intro. Like, what's Chicago? Who's that? Right? And so, and you haven't done anything to ask that of them yet, right? And so you think about steps and so on. So when I talk about reciprocity, it's essential. The sweet spot for us is right there in balance. We're developing and asking things of them that we're willing to give. So we give and then we ask, right? And so there's this mutual back and forth, and we develop. And obviously, as we head through a semester or a second tier of a course or whatever it is, psychology 2 or whatever, those we're asking things of them that at least um, they have enough proficiency to be able to put some work in and do, right? So there's this back and forth and so on. Okay. There's another set of concepts. So just track with me here. I'm just going to jump to another set that I have considerations for. And that is something called the cardinal virtues. So I'm going to put them up here. Not like the bird. I'm talking about birds. Or the cardinals for the Pope. Totally different. I'm not talking about that either. Okay. So if you were to look this up, you could go and have fun with it. Look at these are rooted in Aristotelian virtues. Okay, these are my considerations that I bring to the floor, and hopefully they help you. So first is reciprocity. What am I asking? Do we have can we have a balanced relationship here, given the kind of course material that we're doing and everything else, in order to get the most out of each other, right? And then the other one is the virtues. Now I've outlined them as prudence, justice, moderation, and fortitude. Okay? And you're just like, what? How am I being? Okay, so let me talk through this real quick. These are considerations I have when I engage in planning for a course and teaching. Okay. The first one is prudence. And by what I mean is the classical sense of prudence. Okay, so when I do in a course, let's say ethics and value theory or intro to philosophy, I want to know about am I governed and do I have discipline of myself based on reason for this course? So am I putting the course together based in just reaction to stuff or anger at how my last class went or to get them? Or have I thought about the course that we're supposed to study and what readings would be best and what questions, all of that? Am I hemmed in by that, right? So you don't want your passions and angers and what you ate last night dictating how you treat your students and the questions you ask, right? So you got to listen. The other aspect of prudence is this: the idea of acuteness, not acute, acuteness, like focus, right? Particularly on your judgments that you make for the content that you have for that class, right? So you don't want to make catch-all decisions for all your classes. You want to say, what does this class need? Students are different. Questions come up differently, right? So given what my goals for the class, we normally do this, but this class may need this, right? So almost like the attention of a surgeon, depending on what they need. And you would tell them this because it's a reciprocal. Here's the reason we're doing this. This class needs this. This is good for you, right? Um, this is why we're doing this thing for you all. The other, and I'm still in prudence here. We're doing good. The other aspect is that um, it involves a circumspection of understanding the dangers, right? And now this is very important, right? So, for instance, if we're online, we understand the limitations of a format. Is it an asynchronous class? Does it meet in person? Does everyone have Wi-Fi? Can some people call in? Right? So you take acuteness, right? So you're acutely aware of what are the limitations and what are the benefits of something, right? If I were to do it this way or deal with it, and you're just real about it, right? So it's not like the jaded, angry person who posted on Facebook. I'm just saying, uh, very angry, probably had a rough experience, and so on. The idea of circumspection is that you're just aware that given the limitations or in this case even if it's online, more people can participate from more places, right? So there's pros and cons, right? But you're aware of them, and then you make decisions based on that to get the best out of it, right? And just because something is different doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different, and you have to be aware of that. All right. So that's the prudence. The next one is justice that I have there. And if you have anything else, good. I like that personalized. Yeah. Yeah. It forces that. Right. And this is what we own in terms of that. The next one is justice. Honestly, it's a very straightforward impartiality and fairness with what we're asking our students to do and how we grade and how we interact and everything else, right? And this is again prudence. All of these are considered, at least in the ancient through modern tradition of ethics, habits of character. So virtues end up being a choice, and they're the little choices you make every day, and you get better and better at embracing them. And for this one, an impartiality. The students shouldn't smell on us, you know, some kind of partiality or, handling people differently or anything else. Why? Because then it breaks down the reciprocity and the trust that we need for a classroom. They never want to doubt that. They might have issues with, with the grade on something, or they might have had a bad day, but you want to never give off a sense that you don't have their best interest and you don't want the best for them, right? That never should be like crossing their mind. Oh, Dr. Soden has it in for me. You know, I just think he's trying to trip me up. You don't, you don't want that. Okay. The next one is moderation. Honestly, a harmony and a balance between your coursework. I I always think of like flows of coursework. Sometimes, we're writing or preparing, for certain things. Other days, we do reading and discussion on things. And so I'm thinking of the skills they need, and there's a harmony and balance to the class, and the students can kind of expect a kind of rhythm to how we do things, the scaffolding of skills, all that kind of stuff, right? And so they kind of know what to expect, and the rhythm of a course that you have. And you can even set that at the start, but whatever it is, think through that. What kind of rhythm do you want for your particular class and what's necessary for your discipline? The other one is a fortitude. Doing this at first can be exhausting, right? At first, right? Committing to thinking through the issues and doing this in a way that's conducive to right. But after a while, this fortitude literally means um, a firmness, even in the midst of difficulties, or consistency, right? You're just consistent with the process, consistent with your students, and then over time, you flourish. Right. So this is a long range project. You won't get it done in one weekend. This is, years of work and embracing this and so on, to where you get a comfort level. Okay. So the next one, just before we run out of time, is in all of this, I always have in mind this concept of eudaimonia. So in the Aristotelian tradition, eudaimonia literally means human well-being and flourishing. So there's a goal you have when you step into the class, right? So particularly when I'm at Lonestar, I step into the class. I am part of this community, and they're learning, and people are there. I have students, who have kids, or they just got back from military service, or they just graduated high school, or they're all there, right? And so I'm always thinking, okay, how does this class flourish, right? How do we come to a point where they're investing in their well-being, and you're investing in their well-being? So I'm always kind of thinking out. So this plays into their well-being, right? This will be good for us to do this work. Now, it's not the only thing they're doing, obviously, but where do we play a part, right? And so it's about embracing that. And so if you have that conception in mind, I am playing a part in us doing better and improving, and us, right? Even yourself, as you re-engage your coursework over and over again, you get better and flourish more by doing that as well. So the idea that we can do better together, okay? And so I always have that in mind, and that always encourages me and allows for that fortitude to keep going. And so I'm going to give two questions, and we can mush them into one. I have exactly 30 seconds. Okay. So question one is, what am I becoming? What am I becoming um, by what I ask my students to do and how I ask the class to engage in the work? What am I? What is it doing to me? It could be good or bad, right? So depending on what I'm asking, right? The other one is, what are the students becoming by the things I asked them to do and the work I asked them to do? Okay? You can mush it together. What are we becoming by doing the work? And time. There you go.